What's going on, y'all? I'm sitting here watching this OJ thing here. Not the movie, or not that show, but it's hold on, I'll tell you what it is. OJ Made in America. 5-part series, all right? That's been on ESPN and I'm at episode number 5. Checking out season 1 episode 5, part 5. And you know, I was at Rockingham back in 2000. It's not too far from where my brother was staying in Santa Monica. So, I had a rental at the time, and I drove it over there to Rockingham, 400 North, and I turned in and I went down to 360 Rockingham. I mean, I saw OJ's, the hedgerows just like that you see in here, and his gate and everything. You see up his driveway, all that shit. I got the opportunity to ride by there, but uh, the house was gone. It was it was destroyed. But for what you could, this fence was still the same. I mean, the gate was the same. They just tore the house down, built another house in that spot. You know what I mean? And boom, that's it. But still, though, I mean, to go there on that corner and in between Ashford and Rockingham was pretty cool. But so I've had a lot of my friends, I remember back then, like, man, do you think he did it? Do you think he did it? Especially when the trial was going on. When the trial was going on, man, my grandmother was hooked, Jack. I mean, she was like buried into the television, man. She had her little TV tray set up on her lap. She was all set back in the living room. I mean, I got her juice and her crackers and whatever she wanted to nibble on and her dip and shit. And she sat there and she watched that trial. And I watched that trial as much as I possibly could watch it. And, I told my grandmother, I said, there's a lot of evidence pointing at him. And there's a lot of evidence. I mean, there's some funny shit going on with Mark Furman and all that, and the possible planting of the glove, and then you got the whole if it don't fit, you must have quit shit. So it just didn't look. It was to me personally, I thought it was a great trial, but a sloppy trial. I mean, on behalf of the state. Plus, I'm watching these jury members now talk about this trial. I mean, being so that it's over 20 years ago, over 20 years. But I've had my friends say, "Hey, JD, man, what do you think? Think OJ could have did that?" Well, let me tell you something. All right, it doesn't matter whether you're white or you're black, you're yellow, high yellow, you're an albino. You know what I mean? You're an Indian. It doesn't matter what your race is. Right? We all got a heart, and we all got a brain. In that heart, you can develop love and feelings through your body and through your mind and your brain on your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Speaking for the girls too. I mean, this can happen to anybody. This could have been the on the other foot. This could have been an obsessed white woman. Let's just say she was on the other foot. She could have been an obsessed white woman that was obsessed with OJ, and she could have went crazy and stabbed him in his sleep, cut his throat wide open, and all that. Whatever. You never know. But um, as far as this man fallen deeply in love with Nicole Brown Simpson from day one. Um, excuse me if I'm a little bit blunt, but pounding that white ass. I mean, here's a brother that went to college at USC, probably had girls back in college when he was going to USC that were liking him, that were white girls, but they were still a little bit careful about letting it be known back in the 60s or even be seen with it. It was like the 70s, late 70s, early 80s when the white women were dating the brothers and it really became like, you saw it in the magazines, People Magazine, OJ and Nicole, these black actors and black athletes are dating white women in Hollywood and Brentwood and Santa Monica. So, that's what grabbed me way back in the day. That's why I've always wanted to go to Santa Monica and the Brentwood area and the Palisades and all that shit. It's just beautiful out there, women everywhere. So, here you got this brother, man, who's madly in love with her. I mean, they're having sex all the time. They're getting it on. It's a white woman and it's a brother. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter whether she was white, he was black, or there was some race involved in this. You know what I mean? It's the fact that they both had feelings for each other that were deep when they first met. Unless she was just a waitress that was waiting to end up being a, hang to end up meeting somebody. Maybe she was a gold digger. We don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, he fell in love. He cared about her. He didn't want to see her. What OJ wanted from that relationship was the separation to be. Me personally, I believe it was, you're gonna take care of our children, and and you ain't gonna be going out messing around with somebody else. You heard him in the videos. I mean, in the movie or in the show, screaming in the background while she's on the phone with the police, talking about how she was blowing somebody in the living room and all that shit, and no respect for the kids. Case with, I guess they were home, so he just he went off, and it's crazy. He's so. I just honestly believe that now that I've seen everything, you know what I mean, as far as, what's happened after this trial, and, from what those phone calls and those reports, and, and the abuse, you know what I mean? The abuse leads to shit like that. You know what I mean? That shit happens, white or black. It don't really matter. Let's just say OJ was black on the outside, but he was white on the inside. You know what I mean? And that was his way. He was in love with her so bad. It was a love story that had a tragic ending for two people. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to leave out Ron Goldman either. I mean, that was a sad shame. And that guy probably came and to fight for her, or come to the rescue. There's a theory that I have compared to what their theory is. Their theory is that, I believe I think he was attacked first. No, no, no. He had. I have to check it again. I think she stabbed him. No, I mean, he stabbed her. She went down. Then he went and attacked Ron or something like that. Or he was already fighting with Ron Goldman, dropped him, went and dropped her, went back, finished off Goldman, and then finished off her. But either way you look at it, it's brutal. It was brutal. And I honestly believe from the new stuff that I've been watching on investigative on that detective show, with it's with everything that I've seen from this private investigator, heard him talk about. He took a lie detector test, he passed it. And here's what happened. There was a PI apparently right across the street from that alley, and he was sitting up, posted up, waiting for a white Mercedes Benz with a blonde woman driving it to come through that area. So he was investigating her, trying to find her. He claims a white Bronco, like OJ was driving, pulls into the alley behind Bundy, and a gentleman exits the driver's side, puts on gloves, and goes through a gate, which would have been the Gold Brown Simpson's condo. He goes right through this gate, and I guess he comes up from behind her, or and gets her. So then this guy said that the gentleman came back. But there was two people in the vehicle. The person that was in the passenger side hopped over the armrest into the driver's side, and it drove OJ back to the house. Um, or no, better yet, drove OJ to where his vehicle was parked, and then OJ took over and drove all the way home. That's why the blood is on the inside of the console from the left knuckle. If he's driving the vehicle, there should be no blood over on the inside of that right console, and there's smudges of blood over there. That means he was sitting over there prior to getting in that driver's side. That right there made me really honestly believe now that is probably a 99.99% accuracy or accurate story or theory of what possibly went down. And that is that his son Jason was the one that drove the Bronco to back from the crime scene to where OJ, took over driving. So while OJ was doing his dirt, and whacking both of them, uh, the son hopped over to the driver's side and he drove off. And so, anyway, that's just my opinion now. I mean, it's been 20 something years, 22 years since this shit's happened. And I just think that it just does not look good for him. And you know, they say karma's a motherfucker, man. She'll come back on you. And now look where he's at, serving 30. You know what I mean? So good luck with your parole hearing this year, or I guess it's this year. Next year he comes up for another one. So, but you know, shit will come back on you, man. You do something dirty, you get away with it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And now this show's talking about how there was a Black Panther member in the jury, which is true because a black man, as he was leaving, turned to OJ and pumped his fist up in the air. You know what I mean? And they did more investigations on that guy or dug into his, you know, his past. And apparently he was a Black Panther member back when he was in his 20s. So it's a there's a big conspiracy, you know what I mean, on this whole shit. And but I think that OJ possibly could have done this, man. You know, I really do. I think OJ could have pulled it off. Now, I always thought that there was a possibility his son Jason could have done it. You know what I mean? Just by the way he was acting, you know what I mean? And just how, you know, he's also doing some traveling in between this time. You know what I mean? His story was, you know, that he took his girlfriend home. They were somewhere watching a movie or some shit or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he didn't do that. Then there's reports that from the limo driver that there were two cars out there in the driveway. There was OJ's Bentley, and then there was a vehicle behind it. Well, whose car was that? Because it was gone the next day. I mean, there's a lot of shit, you know what I mean, to be discussed. A lot of stuff's gonna start coming out, man. But anyway, I'll put part two of my theories on the whole OJ thing up later on. You know what I mean? You know, I'll talk about the glove, and I'll talk about, you know, this whole situation with Mark Furman. Man, peace out.